Fear is the biggest bottleneck to business success of any sort, to personal success. It doesn't even matter what kind of success you want to say it is. Fear is what will stop you up. And you don't even see it at the time. I know for sure because I have studied this for so much. And I'll tell you that fear keeps us playing safe, playing small. And you know in your heart of hearts that that's been you. Welcome to Richer Retailer, where we're going to fix your cash flow and build profits so you can build a legacy and finally sleep better. That is for sure what I needed when I had my store. Hosted by me, Cathy Donovan Wagner, I'm an accidental retailer who went from near bankruptcy to owning 3 successful stores, generating multiple 7 figures in sales. As the founder of Retail Mavens, my mission is to help more women-owned retail stores reach $1 million. So if you're ready to scale past 7 figures and you like coffee, champagne, and profit and fun, well, at least profit and fun, our solutions will help. Join the Millie Club and let's go! Welcome to part 2 of our 3-part series, The Only Way to Grow Your Business with Ease. In episode 1, I talked about how retail is hard. It's harder now than ever. Business is harder than ever. It's not just you, right? And so, although it's comforting, it doesn't change the fact that you probably want different results, right? I know it doesn't for me. And so I shared how I felt like this world of chaos and uncertainty, and that what I did is I reached out and grabbed the things I could control even harder and with such force that I realized I made more of a mess because like everything I grabbed was like breaking into pieces and slipping between my fingers on the ground. So a much bigger mess. And that wasn't what I wanted either. And then I came across this statement. Ready? My ability to handle a new level of expansion, which is certainly what I want expansion, will be determined by my ability to navigate a new level of discomfort. So in episode 1, you can hear how I went through the process of how I've already lived with a bunch of discomfort. I could probably live with another. And I talked about the first thing that you have to do for it. So the second thing that I want to address about this is this whole thing about discomfort is about fear. It really is. That's the biggest thing. Fear is the biggest bottleneck to business success of any sort, to personal success. It doesn't even matter what kind of success you want to say it is. Fear is what will stop you up. And you don't even see it at the time. I know for sure because I have studied this for so much. And I'll tell you that fear keeps us playing safe, playing small. And you know in your heart of hearts that that's been you. I'd love to share with you the story about this crazy podcast. I've been wanting to do a podcast literally, like, for the first time I met someone that did a podcast was my dear friend Karen Lanou, and she, from Limitless Women is the name of her podcast. I'll put that in the show notes, a link to it for you. So I think I met her 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, and she had a podcast, and I was like, I want to do a podcast too. We have a great YouTube channel, really successful YouTube channel, and so I started doing that, and that was fine. But I was like, okay, this is the year. This is the year. You guys, I have procrastinated about this so much, so much. It's nuts. And I know this. I teach this stuff. And yet I could see that I was afraid. All the mistakes I even made today, just getting to this point of providing this for you, you cannot believe all the silly little mistakes that I made that I see are just because of fear. And I know that I am really the issue to this. When I just suggested before that you know in your heart of hearts, if you are the bottleneck to your own business and if you're holding things up and it's because of fear, listen, I will raise my hand up so high because you know if it's you and I know that it's me, right? It's when I don't think I'm stalling that I know I really am the cause for stalling our growth and our progress. And I really thought that I had very good questions and reasons why maybe now wasn't the right time for the podcast, or why I should do something differently, or I'm also writing a lot more. And that also I realized scared me, and I was paused for so long. It was just crazy. It was crazy how I was completely self-sabotaging. And geez, I just don't think of that self as that kind of a person. But it's exactly when you don't think you're being that kind of a person that you indeed are doing it, right? That's the whole thing. Let me ask you a couple more questions about that. So, for growth and progress to happen, which is what we both want, right? That's what we want. We want to reach a level of expansion. So, we want growth, we want progress. Change must occur, right? And so, for growth and progress to happen with ease, we have to be comfortable with the discomfort that change will bring. We have to become comfortable with it. I talked a lot in part one about the step that you can take for that. Let me just ask you these questions and see if anything comes to mind, and that's how you'll know if you're stuck in fear also. What activity have you been meaning to do in this store or event, but you haven't yet? What marketing idea you thought for a while would be a really, really good idea, but you haven't done it yet? How about merchandising? Is there a specific merchandising idea that you've thought of that you haven't taken advantage of? What do you believe would expand your profit? What do you believe would expand your sales? Is there something that comes to mind? If there's not, there's no right or wrong answer to this. It's just the willingness to ask yourself the question and see if something comes to mind. What do you need to change for you to make more money? And does your team need to change? For a lot of clients that we first work with, that's one of the things they're like, they know right away. You can see it on their face that they know what they need to change. You see, there's a difference between playing small and being comfortable. It's okay to be comfortable. It's okay to be comfortable. But in order to not play small so that you can reach the goals you want, you have to be willing to sit in this place of being uncomfortable. So what does that look like? This place of discomfort, right? Because the whole thing is that the saying says, my ability to handle a new level of expansion will be determined by my ability to navigate a new level of discomfort, right? So when I think about how I want to expand things, I have to handle discomfort. What else does that mean? It means doing things that make me feel uncomfortable, like this, which is crazy, I know, but that's obvious, right? That certainly seems obvious. It means taking steps forward and recognizing that if you don't deal with the fear that's holding you back, nothing will really change. You have to look at that fear. You have to identify what is the biggest automatic negative thought that's stopping you. You've got to get down to what it is. I tell you that even if you can't get down there, just start with one that you think might be it, and you'll be able to determine if that's not quite it. And then you can kind of just keep going down. I recognize, for me, as first I thought, well, I won't do a good enough job. And I was like, okay, but intellectually, what does that mean that I won't do a good enough job? I do Facebook Lives every single month, 10 at 10 on Tuesday. Come join us in our group, Retail Mavens FB for Facebook, retailmavensfb.com. So I already do these lives every week. I've been doing them for years now. Well, and I already have this YouTube channel, so I'm able to communicate, obviously, on video with people. So what's different about this? So that didn't really feel like it. So I tell you guys, it took me about a month before I recognized that it was actually a coach. I resourced up and hired a coach to help us put together this podcast. And one of the things she just asked, what's your biggest fear about doing your podcast? It came right out of me. My biggest fear is that it won't be perfect. What? I thought to myself, I did not think I was that person, but you guys, it is so clear that that's what it was. And what I was able to do once I identified that big fear is that I was able then to sit in that discomfort a little bit more, because the fact is that change only happens when the pain of staying in the same place becomes too great to withstand. So you want to move out of that place. Like, I can't let perfection keep me. What's the worst that could happen? I went through all that and I was like, failure? No, that's just first attempt at learning. How can I really fail? And I don't mind making mistakes in front of you guys. So I have to tell you that I really do think that part of it was like imposter syndrome about how do people really care? Do people really want to hear? Do I really have good things to share? I think for sure it was some of that. But I'll tell you that once I identified that it was about a fear of this not being perfect, once I was able to do that, then I was able to move forward. Not easily. Like I shared with you, so many things happened today that I swear are just because I wasn't paying close enough attention, and I don't know, whatever, for sure. But I'm proud of myself because I kept going. I kept going. That's the most important thing. So let me ask you, what's the biggest fear you have that's keeping you from doing that one thing you know will grow your business? This was the first thing that comes to mind. And if nothing comes to mind this time, hang on for a few more minutes. I'll be done here. And then I'm going to have a few more questions that I'm going to ask you that might help dislodge this. And then what I would recommend that you do is come back and listen to this again. And just listen to these questions because you do know. You just can't put your finger on it. You can't say it yet. There's too much fear around it, right? So I want you to determine what that fear is. And then when you do, then my job is done. All right. Also, learn from my mistake from the standpoint of is that fear will change. That's the other stupid, slippery thing about it. So I started with this fear of perfection, really became much more of an imposter syndrome fear that I was so worried about, right? Because of course that follows. Let me ask you, these are the most common fears that people have. They have a fear of rejection and judgment, which is where you have concerns about what others think about you. And that can prevent you from taking risks or expressing your true self. And that for sure was one of mine, was being judged and being rejected because of, like, would I say something stupid? Would someone just blow it off because they're like, oh no, I have much better ideas or whatever, right? So that was for sure one of mine. But I don't know, is it yours? Could it be that? Could that be your fear? Could it be a fear of failure? Because I tell you that the possibility of failure can deter people from pursuing their goals. And it really leads people into a place of wanting to be safe over potential success. Like you will sacrifice potential success because you want to be safe, because you're afraid of failing. I don't know, and like that didn't really ring true for me, but I was stuck, right? I could tell I was stuck. Fear of success. Okay, so this always seemed crazy to me because, like, why would people be afraid of success? But I get it now. It's happened with clients. Like, right, if I do more business, is it going to be more work? Is it, will I have more responsibilities? I'm already working so much. I already have so many responsibilities. And so that can keep people from stepping outside of their comfort zone. We see that a lot. So that can be it. Fear of disapproval. That's another super common one. And that's where you're worrying about other people disapproving of what you say. And that can cause people to suppress their true desires and their true feelings. It's been a fascinating journey for me to go through these. I'm going to say those again one more time and just pay attention to see if any of them hit you. Fear of rejection and judgment, fear of failure, fear of success, having more responsibility, having more work to do, fear of disapproval from family and friends. Another way to look at all that is on a scale of 1 to 10, write down how each one of those things resonate with you and look to see which score is the biggest. Can you get a bit more specific with it? I want you to recognize the huge gift that you're giving yourself by spending this time and energy digging into this. And I want you to learn, like I said, from my mistake and recognize that you indeed may be self-sabotaging, especially if you race by this. This is another painful lesson that I learned that I don't want you to have to learn. I have put aside my own dreams now for another good almost 3 months because I just couldn't do it. So this means, this discomfort for you means taking those steps outside of your comfort zone, taking actions and doing things that makes your heart race a little bit. And in that moment, when you're afraid, oh my gosh, friends, I was so afraid today. You had no idea. And I called my coach, Liz. So I got on the phone with her and I was like, so Liz, I'm recording my podcast episodes today, my first day recording them all. And we were on Zoom so she could see me. And she just threw her head back and laughed. And she said, tell me that you're anxious without telling me that you're anxious. She said, I can tell you are. And what I just challenge you to do, she said, is think about how really being nervous about something is really the same feeling as excitement. She said, think about when you get on a roller coaster. You're excited and nervous, but they're the same feeling. It's been proven scientifically. You know, I love all this science stuff. It's been proven scientifically that they interact in the same place in your brain. Nervous and being excited. She said, so just flip it. You're excited. That's what you are. And I challenge you to do the same thing with that fear, that you're not nervous about it. You can get over it. You've done hard things. You're just excited. You're very excited. So this is the truth for you. I love this quote from Marianne Williamson. Stick with me. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant and gorgeous and talented and fabulous, right? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve anyone, least of all yourself. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you and disapprove, right? We're all meant to shine as children do. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. And as we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. That's from Marianne Williamson. You're not serving anybody, least of all yourself, by playing small. Find out what that fear is. So we always end these with a milli minute. What's your milli moment? It's where it's a key takeaway from this episode that's part of that millionaire mindset. More women to that millionaire mark. So I would say to you that the milli moment is recognizing the gift you can give yourself by identifying what this fear is. Spend the time there in that discomfort and give yourself grace. Just love on yourself as you deal with that, as you decide to be at ease in that space of discomfort while you determine what your fear is. Because, my dear, playing small doesn't serve anyone. You are indeed brilliant and gorgeous and talented and fabulous. And you are loved. Happy retailing. I'll see you for part 3 of The Only Way to Grow Your Business with Ease.